So welcome to Satsang. As you know, if you have any questions, you can pose them or write them in the chat box. So in Satsang, there is a recognition. The recognition of that does not appear or disappear. The recognition of the infinite, invisible self. The recognition of the reality of being that is absolute, unwavering, that does not belong to anybody. As within that recognition, there is the recognition of the wholeness, the undivided wholeness of being that is void of any separation, that is void of any actual personhood. This recognition is the recognition of that truly perceives, that truly is. It is a recognition that is beyond the mind, that is beyond the word. That is beyond the relative realm. It is an immediate recognition of the source by the source. And so it is referred to as self-recognition. Whatever truly perceives, which we refer to as I, is the infinite invisible self that has no name, no age, no gender, no phenomenal qualities, that is undivided, undescribable, and is only known as itself, by itself, within itself. And you, thou, are that. The I, the true self, is that. Thou art that. So in Satsang, the invitation is for that direct recognition. That has no veils in it. It is not a recognition via any medium. It is a direct recognition, mediumless recognition, a direct perception of the self. So the movements of the mind is a stirring, is sort of a whirlpool that is fueled by the belief that there is a physical entity and that this physical entity is real and is I and you, me and the other. Thank you, Habibti. Okay, Debbie, I just received your question. I will come to it in just a minute. So this impression, this belief in a physical reality other than the reality of consciousness, other than the reality of the self, alongside the identification with this belief as I, that is what I am this body-mind, is the energetic field that stirs the entire mind, that is the mind, that creates the mind, and that creates the world, and the feelings and the emotions. But in your contemplation of presence, of reality, of beingness, of awareness, of being awareness, in your direct contemplation that does not move away from the self. It's not a contemplation in thought, in time and space. It's a contemplation that consumes itself in its initiation. It is initiated and consumed in its initiation. It is not a contemplation in time. Within that contemplation, the transparency of being is revealed as the only reality, as the impression of objectivity and physicality and materiality requires thought and requires the belief in time and space. So you are invited to the heart, to the core of non-movement, the core of stillness, the heart of silence, where all is revealed, where the true self is revealed, which is the peace, the freedom, the equanimity of being that is impersonal. Universal Satchitananda. So I welcome you to Satsang. I welcome you to your very self. So Debbie, I just received your question. Hello Magdi, I have another question. I feel like there are some ongoing situations in my life that simply don't shift. It is like I am waiting and waiting for some clarity about what I should do. But I get no answers, no clarity. It seems unsolvable. I want help from God, from the self. I want to be shown what I should do, but no answer comes. So when you are perceiving situations in your life that are not shifting, that are not changing, they're like sort of stuck there, what is behind the scene is you as a person and an external situation to you. and a personal desire for that situation to change. That is the illusion. You are believing yourself to be a dream character. And within your dream, because now you're dreaming yourself as a dream character, dreaming an external world and dreaming some happiness that may come to you when that dreamt external situation will change and will become a new dream for you that will deliver to you a happiness, but this happiness is a dream happiness. You follow? At the core of your issue, of your problem, there is a virus, there is a false premise, there is a false belief, an unsolved belief that you are a personal body-mind living in a world, and there is a certain situation that is arising to you as a separate, it's a separate sense, and you wish it to be different. Now consider that when your wish for it to be different is realized, consider that possibly a new wish will arise for that new situation to be also slightly different. And that when that desire, that new desire of yours is realized, that this will go on. Because what you are looking for is a conditional happiness. It's a happiness that is depending on a certain situation changing, and then you will be happy. So you have fallen victim to your own thoughts that your happiness exists in time and space. And under that hypnotic spell, you will spin and spin and spin and spin. And the happiness that is, the bliss of the self, evades you as you are still contemplating your life via your thinking, via the thoughts, and not via the self. As long as you are contemplating your life via your thinking and your feelings, you are contemplating your life via a mechanism that is not stable, a mechanism that is completely shifting, constantly shifting. The thoughts and the feelings are constantly shifting. They shift with your diet, they shift with the weather, they shift with the political situation, they shift with your neighbor mowing the grass on Sunday at 8 o'clock when you are sleeping, whatever. And so you say, it's like I'm waiting and waiting for some clarity about what we should do. What is it that is waiting? And if you are waiting, then you are waiting. Then you wait. You are waiting and you don't want to wait. If you are waiting, wait. Now, you are waiting and you don't want to wait. So you are adding to your waiting a problem, but I don't want to wait. I would say wait. If you are waiting, wait. But really wait. I mean, wait meaning just fully be in the waiting. Waiting is sort of can you wait without expectation? Meaning you're available, you're present for your friend to show up when they show up. It's an interesting question to look at. Can I wait without expectation? Because I've decided to wait and I feel like I'm waiting. Okay, fine. Wait without expectation. Don't look at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, January, February, March, April. That's waiting with expectation. Just wait without waiting. Wait without waiting. And if you're waiting without waiting, then you can celebrate what's unfolding. Whichever way God is appearing as the weather, as the body-mind, as friends visiting, whatever, or not visiting. So you're waiting and waiting for some clarity about what you should do. What you should do. Okay, Debbie, you sent me another message, but let me just finish here what I was saying about what you should do. What you should do is investigate why be unhappy right now. Is it possible to celebrate happiness right now? God's grace. God is love. Is it possible to celebrate God's love right now? Why waiting? You have to sober up. Take it on. Take it on. Not just wait for somebody to deliver to you the goods. You can be happy right now while waiting. Contemplate that. Is it possible? And why not? Because when what you are expecting will reveal itself, it will reveal itself right on. It will not reveal itself before or after when it's due to reveal itself. Right? It will reveal itself when it reveals itself. Whichever way it reveals itself. You have to be open to the infinite possibilities. Okay, you were right. Thank you, Magdi. I understand what you explained. I want to live what you say. I hope I can come and be with you in retreat, so I can learn to go deeper and not be affected by my mind. Yes, it's important that you live what I say, meaning like your understanding. It's not really what I say. It's as long as you understand what we are exploring together, then you live your understanding. You live the teaching. Because what's the point of the teaching if you don't live it? You really have to take it at heart. Really, really deeply in your heart and body, mind, completely have to live the teaching completely, fully, totally, not maintain the me image and not continue to cater to the me image, just all illusion and dream. To live fully as the self that you are. The self is complete fulfillment, nothing lacking to the self, to beingness, being awareness. Being awareness is Satchitananda, the fullness, the wholeness of being. And to come in retreat, well, there is a retreat next week. Is it next week in Costa Rica? There is a retreat. Ananda is organizing a retreat in Mount Shasta in August, July, August, I think, August 3rd or so. Yes, okay, thank you, Ananda. So it's August 3 through August 6. So you can contact Ananda or just on Facebook, message me, and or Ananda is also on Facebook, and he can provide you with all the information that you need to come to retreat. Retreats are golden opportunities to be with the teacher, to be with the teaching, and to deepen your understanding and your inquiry and your life. Okay, so Ananda writes, his email, by the way, is bird song flute. Ananda loves to play the flute, so and bird songs. So it's BIRDSONG flute, FLUTE 108 at gmail.com. Bird song flute 108 at gmail.com. And the teacher is like a gateway. It's like a doorway. It's not a person. Appears as a person, appears as a friend. But at the non-appearance level, the teacher is your gateway, your passage into the self, into the freedom and the bliss of the self, into the awakening, into your awakening to the self. In every way that the teacher expresses himself or herself is an expression of the self. It's the magic show. And the teacher is never trying to aggrandize himself or herself, or doesn't have a personal interest. It's God's interest that is expressing itself through the teacher, as the teaching and as a friend. Via the teaching, you can comprehend and you can have tools, various hints that are helpful to you in your contemplation. And via your interaction with the teacher, you can have a first-hand experience of how it is lived. And you need to have a complete trust in the teacher and be watchful of your critical mind. But the critical mind will arise. There are a lot of bumps along the road. But the criticism never touches the self. The teacher is not touched by the mind or by the world. Oh, Ananda just corrected, made a note that it's 3 through the 7th, the retreat in Mount Shasta, not through the 6th.
Well, I'm.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't want to be distracting here, but I just I just wanted to say, if someone, because the person you've just been talking to sounds interested, I just want to say, you know, she should look at you on Facebook,
right,
and get information. And it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. And I have to say, Magdi is extremely available the entire time.
yes.
And you'll get quite an immersion if you have a chance to be there.
Okay, thank you, Nanda. Yes, that's helpful.
Magdi?
Yes, hello, Esther.
Hello. Would you speak some more about living the teaching completely? Like the importance of constancy and vigilance without effort, 24/7?
Yes. Thank you. You cannot really force it, but it's really important to understand that this sort of journey, the journey, let's say, from the sense of personhood, from the sense of limitation to the bliss of the self, is a journey that requires your complete dedication, your complete devotion and dedication and single-minded focus, interest, passion for truth, for awakening, for inquiry, for lifting every stone, looking under every stone, and surrendering all that you know, everything that you cherish, that you hold dear, that you feel is important, to surrender all of it for your awakening, keeping in mind that your awakening will reveal the awakening of the self to the self, and not a personal awakening. It's like, it's amazing what we do as a human beings. We sometimes dig down 1 mile down into the earth and build these mines. You spend tremendous amount of energy to find some gold or find diamonds or find rubies or whatever we're looking for. And the gold that you can accumulate by digging the ore in the entire galaxies over the next 20 zillion years is not equivalent to awakening to the self. You cannot force yourself to love God, but once there is a revelation to you, some revelation, even a glimpse into the glory of the self, into the transparency of being, you've got a big task on your hands and tremendous responsibility on your hands to honor this extremely precious gift. There are many many pit stops along the way. There are many distractions. There are many trickeries of the self that try to pull you into your feelings, into your mind, into intellectual discourse about the Dharma, and into adopting certain slogans about awakening. There is nobody, or all is the self. Is slogans that don't deliver the Ananda, the Satchitananda. When you are traveling to the Pacific Ocean, you cannot rest anywhere along the way and be happy or content with a description of the Pacific Ocean, or pictures of the Pacific Ocean, or some paintings of the Pacific Ocean, or somebody opens a bottle and tells you, smell the air inside this bottle, it's air from the Pacific Ocean. You cannot be satisfied with that. You have to come to the shore. You have to come to the shore and see, feel the waves, swim in the ocean, be the ocean. And this phenomenal realm in the waking dream has in it a time clock. If you start your contemplation late in your life, that's, in a way, I would say that grace hasn't smiled too much for you. You're very fortunate if early on in your life you have a glimpse into the self. And then it keeps eating at you, and it keeps bugging you. It keeps calling you back. Hey, where is it? Where is it? I want it. I know it's there. I've experienced it. And by a certain age, you can no longer remain without it. You start inquiring, and you start talking to people, reading the scriptures, asking, attending retreats, going to satsang, etc. Until you find a resonance, you find a teaching, a voice, even a non-voice that resonates deeply within your heart. And then you've been gifted even a bigger gift, because now you have arrived at the temple where the kirtan really resonates for you. But still the mind may trick you, may tell you, how about this and how about that? Your greatest fortune is finding your guru and living your entire days and nights in the contemplation of his or her teaching and his or her grace. Everything that arises in your life is an invitation for you to awaken to that is untouched, that is the complete freedom of being. What arises in your life is not meant for you to solve it. It is meant for you to awaken. So you need to bring whatever is arising in your life, which arises as thoughts and feelings, bodily sensations. You have to refer those arisings to that does not arise, to that does not come and go, that does not move. Because what you truly are is that. What the bliss of the self is that does not come and go, that does not exist in time and space, that is incomprehensible by the mind. It's incomprehensible at the mind level, and yet it is completely knowable as oneself, and it's completely lived as the core, the heart of the teaching, the heart of being. So you live the heart of the teaching in your complete stillness by contemplating the stillness of the self, the transparency of the self, the borderlessness of the self. That the I that refers to whatever is real right now. And the I that is real right now, when you contemplate the reality of your experience, you will find only that cannot be perceived is real. And yet it is undeniable, the awareness, the consciousness, the self that is beyond words, beyond conception, that you know as the stillness of being. Where the mind comes to complete rest, to complete dissolution of the mind. It's as if one could say it's a resting as being, as absence, as the absence. And this absence is universal presence. And you open yourself, you remain open. There's a deepening and a deepening and a deepening of that. No doors are closed. Not any door is closed. You remain as not knowing. Not knowing is a freedom from the known. Freedom from the limitations of knowing. And self-knowingness is not a limited knowing, it's not a limited off. It's an inherent to the self is knowingness, awareness. Inherent to beingness is awareness. So knowing thyself is absolute knowingness. Knowingness / beingness. That has no object or subject in it. Or you could say it is the ultimate subject, universal subject that shines as the light of being, as infinite forms and shapes and shades. that has no issue with the mental realm of names and labels, but is free of, is not defined by any labels or names. So before you become free of the names and labels, you have to come to the freedom of the self. Until then, the names and the labels, they continue to pull you. They seem to have an actual reality to them. Somehow we overlook that they are conceptual, that they are thought-like, dream-like. And you imagine them to be real. There is a real tree, a real car, a real husband, wife, a real. But what is real is that is across time and space. It cannot be real today, and in 200 years it's dead. So what is real cannot be your mother or father or son or daughter. And yet we cannot deny reality. We don't know the word of it. It doesn't matter the word we say, reality, awareness, consciousness, Brahman, whatever, it doesn't matter. But is a reality, use the term reality, is a reality to your experience. And that reality is not something that appears, because whatever appears disappears. So what is it? I am, obviously, I am. Undoubtedly, I am. But what is this I that is? What can answer that question? Only the I can answer that question. Only the I knows I. Not thought. Thought is conditioned. It's conditioned by society, cultures, history, data. Only the I can answer, what am I? And the I will answer, will say, I am I. I am I, borderless presence. I am I, have no form, no age, no gender. I am the true perceiver of all perceptions, and yet I am the complete freedom of being, freedom of all perceptions. I am the dreamer of all dreams, and yet I am not a dream character. I can dream myself as infinite dream character, but I know myself as the self. I know myself as that is not divided into dream characters, into me and you. I have no problem dreaming myself as dream characters. I dream you as Esther. I dream me as Magdi. But I never waver from my knowingness that I am thou. There is only one I that goes by infinite names, but is nameless, has actually no name. I go by the name tree, by the name wind, by the name birds, by the name turtle, by the name stream, by the name ocean. But I remain nameless. I am nameless. I'm not sure where I went with your question, Esther, but that's what happened.
Magdi?
Yes, Zoe.
That was beautiful. I guess I want to ask about, maybe this is a trickery of the self, a pit stop along the way. I'm noticing as the illusion of the person keeps getting stripped away. I was with a group of women yesterday. We've been meeting for the past 8 years, and as I was sitting there listening to a woman speak, about what she's going through, I could not um, respond as I have in the past, and it was like the mind, or I could hear the other women responding with oohs and ahs and, you know, empathy, or, oh, that's so terrible. And I couldn't. It was just like quiet, like that doesn't, I don't see that as terrible, or, it's just unfolding. But it wasn't, what you're saying is, it wasn't blissful, it was just peaceful. And then what came up was like, how do I connect with these women if I'm not doing the old pattern of agreeing? And this is something that keeps coming up. I know you've talked with me about this before, but I guess I need another reminder.
There is a way of relating where we sort of maintaining, confirming, reinforcing our ignorance, our hysteria. Maintaining the me story. So we sort of, somehow we're connected in this field of duality, me and you, my life, and this is happening, good and bad, and the mind is not limited. It's like a cloud, and there's a cloud over the village. Everybody in the village, from their own perspective, from their own house, from their own location, they see the cloud in a different way, but we share the common language. Oh yeah, this is a cloud. And so there is a way of relating in the world. I would say maybe over 90% of the population sort of relates in the world, relate with each other, with that, under that shared, as they're sharing it, they're maintaining it, they're sort of reinforcing it and maintaining the illusion, the web, the structure, the bubble. And within that realm, there are sparks of light that when those sparks of light arise, they sort of, they burn the web. So like the light in the tunnel, it's a very intricate tunnel, but whenever there is a light in the tunnel, this light becomes the guide. and delivers, relieves the confusion, as now there is a light too. So how to be the light, how to be the light that I am, there is a recognition of a way of being that is not is maintaining the story, repeating just rehashing the structures and the beliefs and the how to be, you know, with friends in the world, at work, in the family, in relationship, in intimate relationship, how to be as the self, as the contemplation, with the contemplation, the living contemplation. When we are confronted with seeming confusion in the it's a good question, and it's not a question that anyone can answer for you, but you can ask that question to yourself, because you are the self, you see. So you can ask yourself, how can I be? How can I be? And you will get answers. Sometimes the answer is, that's not where I belong. That's sometimes that's the answer. Sometimes the answer is just to be still, to be in that particular moment, open, noticing, listening, and contemplating. I don't mean not, being present to your friends, but you can be present at the same time. The contemplation can be going on within you. So it's interesting what's happening. Interesting where people are spinning, and you know that it's not possible to share when the others are close or they're looking in a different direction. It's not possible. But sometimes you would be surprised. You may be drawn to say something. You say, "Wow, this is what a dream this whole thing is." You may be drawn to say something like that. That's like seems not apropos, not appropriate, but and then you let it go. Some people might go, "Gee, what's wrong with Zoe?"
Exactly.
Others may just even you don't know. Even somebody may say, "What's wrong with Zoe?" You don't know where that will go. You may be drawn to say something. We don't know. You don't know. You see, you don't know. But what's important is that you don't come from the personal self. You don't, for example, think, "Oh, they're messed up and I need to help them," or "I know more than them," or that's just more of the same. That's just me and you, and I'm good, you're bad, and it's none of that. It's just the light of being shining through you, and it shines the way it shines, and you are that light. So you can play with it any way you want. You could, and a couple of times I've done that, where I said some things that were really not and okay. That was, I don't know where it went, what it did. Who knows? But sometimes some relationships end. They end, or they change. In a noticeable way, and your priorities, your where you're spending, where you are turning your attention, what you are catering to and how you are relating changes, you see.
Yeah.
And as the how you're relating changes, with whom you're relating also changes, because naturally some people will drop off because they're not getting from you the gossiper. You know, sometimes in gossip we want a gossiper to be gossiping with us. It's saying, now if you're no longer a gossiper, you're no longer of interest to me, you see. So there'll be a natural falling off, and that's good.
Yeah.
It's really good. So, but it's very important not to go back to the personal self, blaming others or judging oneself or others. And no, that's, people are where they need to be in their journey, and whichever form it's appearing to them. And the deeper we go in the rabbit hole, the darker and the more complex it becomes. And sometimes that's what's needed. That's the path. And so you are the light unto yourself and the light unto others by being the light unto yourself. By being the light unto yourself, you are the light unto others.
Yeah. Yeah, that when you were answering Esther's question, having that complete dedication to truth is just, yeah, all I could do was just turn within. Because, yeah, I know it's not about anything personal. And yet it was just noticing that I couldn't believe any of what they were saying anymore because I don't believe it within.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an attrition. Some relationships change. You find yourself more interested in being with people who are contemplating or celebrating the self, and not just contemplating or celebrating the me, the me and the stories and
Yeah, and the improvement of the me.
yes, it's all it's bound to fail. It's like trying to improve Santa Claus. It's a disaster. I don't know. Sometimes it's like that, Yeah, so
That's good. Thank you, Magdi. Yeah, how to be in the world. I appreciate that.
yeah,
I can ask within every time
yes,
how to be in the world.
yes, and you have to be true and real.
Yeah.
And you can only be true and real as that is true and real, not as the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions. So you have to contemplate how to be true and real, and what is that is true and real. And that contemplation itself reveals your true nature, and your true nature expresses itself without you.
Mm-hmm.
In spite of you, beyond you, it expresses itself through you. You don't have to express it, it expresses itself.
There was one other thing when you were talking with Maria last time. You spoke a little bit about this feeling what other people are feeling, like this cosmic field of, that it just travels through you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Yes. When you contemplate the reality of consciousness, you find that it's borderless. So meaning there are no walls. It's an open field. I like to think of it as a circle with an infinite radius and without a center, or a sphere, or that with an infinite radius and without a center. So it's that, and within that field, the waking dream arises in the entire space. So it's never suffering. Although it may seem to be personal, it's not personal. It is universal. And when you look at universal suffering, you find that there is no suffering, because the universe does not suffer. Suffering requires an opposition. There is a field, and there is another field that's pushing against it, and this field wants to go that way, and that field is saying this way. So it's suffering. It's a contraction. But since there aren't two fields, there is no other sphere that is pushing against the sphere. There's no center A and center B that are sort of, impacting upon each other. So the personal suffering, which is universal suffering, is illusion. And yet you say, well, wait a minute, I am feeling it. I am feeling something. So one way of looking at it is that, I like the image of the black hole. In the cosmic realm, there's the black hole, where it's sort of like a very dense, massive, beyond infinite gravitational field that pulls everything within it, but nothing comes out. Everything dissolves. It remains as the black hole, sort of as a metaphor. In a way, the self, as you become clearer about your true nature, you realize that a lot of what seemed to be personal impressions were actually field impressions from the field that you are personalizing via your belief into a personal body-mind. But as your belief in being a personal body-mind is seen through, you start to realize that those feelings and emotions that you are experiencing are not personal. So and we all know that, like, for example, when you are in a meeting and there is somebody who's grouchy, or somebody who's depressed, or somebody who had like a trauma recently and comes into the room, or is sitting in the room, you can sense their energy, right? You could.
Yes.
Right. You could sense their energy. In some cases, you can sense the energy by looking at them. In some other cases, where you're more in tune, you can sense the energy even when you're not looking at them. And in some cases, you can sense the energy when they're at home, a mile away. And you can sense their energy when they're in Calcutta, or when they're in Amsterdam. Because there is no distance in consciousness.
Wow.
So when the I thought is absent, in other words, that, something I'm noticing here, a certain sensation, and then the thought goes, what is happening to me? Why is this happening to me? When that thought is absent, you're just basically experiencing a certain energetics in the open space of being. And how could you make it personal when the I thought is absent? When the I thought is absent, it's not personal. It's just like the weather. Is the weather personal? Not really. I mean, you could make it personal when you say, oh, gee, I don't know, why am I having another rainy day today or something? Actually, it's not rainy. It's very beautiful. I don't know if you could see. It's really beautiful. It's really very...
Oh.
It's not rainy. I just used the term rainy. But so yes, in some cases, the sensitivity becomes more... we're more sensitive, and we pick up, not really pick up, and notice a lot of these energetics because they're happening.
Yeah.
You know, they're happening in the dream world. There are a lot of nightmares. You are not having any nightmares, but you can sense that these energies. You can sense it, and because you're not holding on to it, because you're not trying to fix it, you don't have any opinion about it, you don't have any judgment about it, you're sort of noticing it, and it's sort of flowing through the space, and you are the space. It's where they dissolve, because there isn't any holding, any resisting. So in a way, like when you come to the black hole, when you come to the self, you're able to effortlessly release the field from its tensions. Effortlessly.
Yeah, there's this just experience of, life living. Yeah, life just living itself.
Yes, and this life that's living itself is infinite, borderless, undefinable, unconceivable. Yes. So life as universal life, you could say, or life as universal consciousness. One could say that another word for universal consciousness is life, but not as we usually think of life, as an event in time and space. Sometimes we use the word God for life. You know, God is life. I don't know. I think I heard that somewhere. God is life. This is various ways in which, via language, we try to express the inexpressible. In consciousness, the reality of being has nothing that can stand outside of it, that can say it is this or that.
Yeah, or separate from the whole that.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
Nothing could step out of it to make a movie of it or take pictures of it and say it's this or that. It's like more like this and less than that, like that. No. It's one reality. It's just one reality. And the we know I as consciousness is real. So I, consciousness, is this reality, and this reality is borderless universal beingness. Dreaming this dream via a certain, what we refer to as body-mind, via a certain tool like the binoculars. We're perceiving this dream, this body-mind dream. But we're not limited by our dreams. So the body-mind span, or whatever which is thought, because we never experience a span. We never experience a span in time. we never experience time. We experience a thought that says time, that says, oh, yesterday, but in fact, in our experience right now, what is time? There is no time.
There is no time.
There's no time.
This other thing has been coming up, that it's like it's like it's predetermined, like it's playing out. Does that?
Well, let's take the thought predetermined out of the predetermined. I mean, so there is this, whatever you call this. Let's say we say, okay, there is this perception, for example, right?
Yes.
And then we say, oh, this perception is predetermined. Okay. When we say it's predetermined, that means there is, I don't know, I mean, I'm just exploring it. There is a predeterminer of an experience, and the experience was predetermined, pre-planned, and the experiencer of this experience also is pre-planned, I guess. I'm just sort of brainstorming it with you. And
so it's the thought that comes after saying that it's predetermined. Maybe.
But a thought that says that something is predetermined must know, that thought must know what it means. Because if a thought comes to you and tells you something and they don't know what they're talking about, I wouldn't listen.
Okay.
I wouldn't listen. So that thought that says, oh, this is predetermined, must know what they're talking about, right?
Yeah, but but no thought knows anything.
So I go to the thought, I say, hey, what are you talking about? Explain it to me, please. What do you mean? I don't hear any answer. Okay, I'm just sort of, a thought is not knowing, but we're knowing. I mean, I know I am. Whatever that is, I know there is, as opposed to there isn't.
Okay.
Whatever is. I know there is, as opposed to there isn't. So that so there is a knowingness here, and I know I'm aware. I know I'm aware that I am, and I know I'm aware of isness, whatever that is. Therefore, I, which is knowingness, should know what predetermined is. So predetermined, when I look at predetermination means time. There is something ahead of this that knows. Okay. So I say, okay, well, what is ahead of this?
Nothing.
I don't find any ahead, or any after. And when I look at this, I say, okay, fine. I cannot find an ahead. I cannot find an after. So therefore, the predetermined must refer to this, because it must have a meaning. The term predetermined must have a meaning. I'm looking for this meaning. So it must not refer to an imaginary before and imaginary after. So it must refer to this. So I say, what is this? And I find whatever the reality of this is the formless self, is awareness. Because the image this keeps changing. So it's not like this, no, this, no, this is this. No, it's not like that. There is a this that is always this. And that is awareness. So therefore, when we say predetermined, we must be referring to awareness. So we could say, oh, okay, awareness is predetermined. What does it mean? Awareness is predetermined.
Okay.
But means it's all-knowing? Okay. It's all-knowing. I say, okay, I'm on board with that. It's all-knowing because I am all-knowing. Okay. Because there is no other knowingness but I. Well, that I know of, and there may be some galactic knowingness out there as a thought. It appears only. So you can imagine infinite realities. But okay, but what's that? It's just this. So yes, okay. So consciousness is all knowing. I say, okay, I'm on board with that.
Yes. Okay. That I can get on board with too. Thank you. It's so scientific. Thank you for bringing it
down. Some of it is scientific, some of it is
common sense. I don't know. It's just whatever. Thank you. That clarified it.
Hello, Ananda. You write the issue of thought being unaware, non-knowing is so wild because everything that we believe is built upon the dominant effect of thoughts. Yes, Ananda. To comprehend that thought is known and is not knowing is a very important comprehension that if it's really the full import of that contemplation is revealed, can free you from the entire field of the separate me that outside of thought does not appear. Mm-hmm. So the fact that thought is not knowing depersonalizes thought. It sort of transforms thoughts into sort of a form of weather in a way, like it's sort of part of the weather, and at the virus within the entire realm of thought is the initial thought that I am born, which is a thought, because outside of the thought we do not have an experience of being born. So that thought is being repeated and repeated, that it's sort of it sort of pushed consciousness out of the way and took the seat of consciousness. And now when we say I, we're referring to the I thought, I am born. But we haven't noticed that in fact the I thought is sitting in the Lord's seat, impersonating the self. But when we contemplate the me, we realize, we may realize, depending on our contemplation, that whenever the me arises, it's arising as a thought and a sensation, as a feeling, a thought as a feeling. It's very subtle. It happens so fast that we overlook seeing it, that it's a thought and a me feeling. It's so quick, but in our contemplation, the contemplation slows everything down to the point where you see that in this present moment, there is no I thought, and there is no me, and there is no I. There is no I as a personal self. There is no personal self. It's just awareness. But as soon as the how am I doing arises, like it arises so quickly you don't even see it. In that split moment, the presence, beingness, awareness has been personalized. So to see that, oh well, in fact, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. It's constantly happening. The I thought is coming, personalizing consciousness, personalizing, and it keeps personalizing consciousness. You see it and you realize there is an I thought, and thought is not knowing. It doesn't know. Doesn't know consciousness, doesn't know, is completely not knowing. No fault is knowing.
But what about this domino effect of thoughts? So I'm going to give an example. Sorry, the echo there.
I am not hearing, on my side, I'm not hearing the echo.
I slept unusually well and deeply, and as I woke up, I thought, oh, wonderful, well rested. And then I realized I hadn't moved all night, and now I had a stiff neck. Okay, and that I feeling came in more strongly than I can almost remember. Oh, this neck is really stiff now. What about driving to work? What about et cetera, et cetera? So the thoughts seem to be a domino effect, you know, functionally speaking, so to say. And so even if they're not, even though they're not referring to something real, what is that? Maybe like Zoe's question, you have to refer back to consciousness to say this dream is just being projected moment by moment, or do you see what I mean?
Well, yes, you see, the I thought, the separate self, the me impression, as we're contemplating it, it gets more and more thinner and less, and it's less and less healthy, let's say. You know, it's as if it's been wounded, but it's not fully slain. It's still, it's still jerking. You know, so there is noticing a stiff neck, and I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to play a scenario. There may be, oh, gee, you know, why am I having this stiff neck? Like sort of a resistance to the stiff neck. Now, there are two options. A stiff neck at the body-mind level is, you know, it calls your attention to stretch, to, you know, maybe rearrange your pillows for the next night, etc. So it's a little bell that's saying, hey, listen, you know, do something about your pillow, or do something about maybe you sat too long yesterday. You need to. So it's a little bit of a bell, and so it catches our attention, and that's how the body expresses itself, you know, to consciousness. Consciousness says, oh, okay, fine. Let me take you for a yoga class today, or something like that.
Right.
Now, and then there is something else that may arise, which would be the ignorance, which should be, oh, gee, you know, why is this happening to me? Oh, that's going to fuck up my day. And no, that's, you know, shit. I mean, what a lousy freaking, you know.
You're right. That's the way the mind starts talking. Yeah.
And then the domino, because the I thought is a resistance, and is recorded in the body as a contraction. And the contraction brings more resistance. It's like, oh, gee, and I'm really feeling lousy, and now I want to feel better. So I'm going to think about, this freak is my nephew's fault. You know, I was going to go to yoga class yesterday, and my nephew called me, and I missed the class because of my nephew. All these, like, and now I'm feeling bad because I'm blaming my nephew, whom I love, who's nobody else but myself, is my very self appearing as a nephew, as a nephew. And so there is a domino effect, you see, because as soon as you engage in resistance, there is an opposing force to the resistance that comes it doesn't want the resistance, but that force that comes, that wants to get rid of the resistance, is in itself a resistance, and there is a resistance that comes to resist that resistance, and so on.
Yeah.
Until we disengage the whole thing by maybe we take a breath. We say, okay, just we go to the silence, to the stillness. That feeling in the neck. You know. So somehow we go to the not knowing, to the not knowing, to the silent, to the absence, to the, it's a surrender to it. It's like, okay. I mean, also that, okay, it's okay. It's okay. I don't have to be perfect, Ananda. I can be the hurting, and I'm that driving with my freaking sciatica, whatever it is. I can say it. There's also that. There's also this sort of surrender, and there's also, just maybe adjust, and and okay, it'll do what it'll do. It may help a little bit, may not. It's also that, and then all of that is sort of a turning. All of that is sort of like a turning inward and turning into the move towards the ocean, as opposed to today a time this and that or that, and, it's a different dynamic. You see,
right?
So the domino effect is let's say diminished or is halted when we turn our attention to living grace. Living grace.
This is one of the most important things that I've gotten in our conversations in the past, was that it really came through to me about how whatever appears and looks like it has big news, like now you're sunk, you have a stiff neck and you have to do this work or whatever appears, that you just sit back in a way and just say, I don't need to react. Reacting is not required.
Yes.
Something like that. And then and it doesn't lose the essence.
Right. Yes. And there can be an action, which is a bit different from the reaction, actually quite different from the reaction, where maybe you take an additional pillow in the car because you have a half-hour drive, whatever, to adjust, or you take a few minutes to do some stretching or whatever. You book a yoga or a massage, or which is action, which is action that comes from intelligence, from caring to the body is important, to take care of the body, to move the body, that's really important, so the body doesn't become a hindrance for you. So there is an action that may be available to you when you're not in the reaction. There is a clarity about the action.
And this particular issue, this particular stiff neck episode was, I undertook to help 2 different people with projects in one day. And at the end of the day, I said, wow, I was able to do all that. I was almost a laborer. At my age, I can't really, a laborer,
Oh, laborer, yes.
Like which I used to do in my 30s or something.
Yes.
And I thought, gee, but a laborer would have done 3 times what I did. So, but anyway, but it was a little too much. Even what it was a little much.
Right. So
I learned from
wisdom
that.
in that. Yeah, there's wisdom in that. Okay, take it easy. I mean, you can help out, but make sure that you call a couple of other friends to help.
The librarian says, "Here, take a cart. You've got way too much there." And I said, "No, I got it." Anyway.
I'm remembering like years ago, I was in New York City, and this friend of mine, really lovely person, he had lost an arm, in an incident. And one day he called me, "Oh, Mekdi," it was like in the evening, can you come and help me move some things? I said, "Oh, sure, okay, yeah, I'll help you." I came. We had to move his whole furniture, whole furniture to another apartment.
Oh no!
Oh my God! It was 3 arms, he's one and my 2. I was younger and stronger then, but I still suffered from sore back, sore neck, sore everything for a few days.
It's been some years now that I've been hiring. If I move from one apartment to another, I've been hiring people.
Yeah, sometimes that's what we need to do.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
I love the practical as well as the theoretical. The theoretical aspect, though, you don't have to go into it now, but I just want to say the conceptual theoretical thing is, how does this domino thing happen when the thoughts do not have actual agency or See what I mean? They're not actually living things. How do they clomp along like that?
Yeah.
Not that you can answer every ridiculous metaphysical question.
You could just think of like the wind blows on the willow and the leaf falls onto the pond. And as it falls onto the pond, there are like ripples that go on and on and on and on and on, you see?
Yeah.
So you could say all of that is in the perceptual field, but not in the realm of consciousness. So in what appears in your dream, you know, you dream that you are being chased by a lion, and then even when you wake up from the dream, the heart still pounds, and then it's sort of it comes back to harmony. Although it's a dream, it's, you know, it has within the dream, it has this sort of echo. So, but at the consciousness level, that's what's important to understand. Nothing is happening. Okay. So your question relates to, although there is no separate self, although there is no reality to the entity, how come this dream is going on? It's because in the dream, there is the impression, that I am a character, dream character. And so because of that impression, which is still has echo, it hasn't yet fully, it still sort of has a little bit of, and it's still, and even when, because it doesn't appear all the time, it appears and disappears, and when it appears and it creates a certain vibrational field, and then it disappears, the vibrational field remains, you see. And that's what actually causes domino effect, is that we're, although the thought that upset us is gone, at the energetic level it's still echoing, and so the next thought arises to try to override this vibration. It says, oh, it's the fault of my freaking nephew, it's sort of trying to distract.
Right. I'm going to send them an email and tell them to be
right. And that very thought triggers another so that's in a way the dream and domino effect. So the domino effect is a dream effect, but it's not enough to realize it's a dream effect. We have to wake up from the dream. Okay, everybody, very lovely to be with you all. Thank you for your lovely company and your love and your friendship. So next Thursday, I am in Costa Rica, so we see you a couple of weeks or so. Yes? Okay. Love you all.